Okay, so we'll be looking at another part of the Mabinogi Eternity section on the Korean website. So the 4-point skirt is actually... So we develop with Unreal Engine, so of course the skirt will naturally flow, right? This time we will focus on expressing natural movement in costume animation, especially skirt-shaped costumes. Let me introduce you to the animation-related R&D process. Let's briefly recall the key animation and rigging and skinning introduced in the hair animation section. Key animation holds the key by moving the position of the skeleton for each frame. Rigging and skinning connect each vertex of the modeling to the skeleton rigging and give the skeleton a weight to be affected by its movement, skinning. 4-point skirt, not bulletproof. Taking the popo skirt as an example, the skirt hem of the popo skirt is rigged and skinned to the leg bones. So when the legs move due to the key animation, the attached skirt moves together. So what should I do to make the skirt part of the 4-point skirt move separately? You just need to create an additional skeleton to move the skirt and set a separate key animation. Volitions who have seen the hair animation process will have already noticed, but there is a problem. So they're just using the hair example here. If this continues, the skeleton will continue to proliferate as each costume has a different shape. However, this is a problem I have already experienced once with hair animation. Just apply the same solution as hair animation. So, cloth simulation. It is a type of physics-based animation that was previously introduced in hair animation. It refers to a technology that imitates the motion of flexible materials such as clothing or fabric. What makes hair animation different from physically based animation is that cloth simulation movements do not require a skeleton. Of course, since physical calculations are performed at the vertex level instead, it is bound to be heavy in terms of performance. What if we combined Mabinogi with cloth simulation, which is excellent for expressing the smooth movement of fabric? I started applying the cloth simulation by imagining the possum skirt I was wearing swaying in the air every time I walked. The problem is form. A problem occurred during testing with various types of skirts: short skirt, long skirt, wide skirt, narrow skirt. By rigging and skinning, there are no parts that can be stretched beyond the original form of the modeling. As physics calculations were performed at the vertex level, side effects occurred, such as legs going through the skirt or the bottom of the skirt being rolled up. Of course, there is room for improvement by setting additional physical properties and increasing the amount of computation. It was difficult to expect natural movement in long and narrow skirts. If you attach a skeleton as before, rig it, skin it, and then use the key animation to move it, the mesh will stretch beyond its existing shape. The movement of the flowing skirt that was initially thought is moving further away. Physics simulation again. As applied in previous hair, a separate skeleton for the skirt was created, separated from the basic skeleton, and attached to the skeleton for the skirt. A method of applying physics simulation was introduced. The basic skeleton of the character is used to control the character's movement. This skeleton determines the overall movement of the character and handles the basic animations such as walking, running, jumping, etc. The skeleton for the skirt is responsible for simulating the physics of the skirt parts, used to represent the movement of the skirt more realistically. Physics-based animation calculates the movement of the skirt by considering physical factors such as gravity, air resistance, and external interference. For example, when a character moves quickly, the effect of a skirt blowing in the wind is physically simulated. The physical effects make the game character's motion feel more lifelike and realistic. By combining these two separate skeletal systems, the overall movement of the character utilizes traditional animation techniques, while the movement of one particular part, the skirt, is expressed more naturally through physics-based form. However, there were problems with applying physics-based animation. In small movements, there is less response to external factors. The movement of the skirt is difficult to express in detail. On the other hand, with large movements, acceleration or collisions make the simulation unstable, causing the movement to appear inaccurate. To respond to these problems, it is necessary to adjust the parameters of the physics simulation or adjust the size and direction of motion. There were limits to the physical simulation results appearing natural in all movements. Combination of key animation and physics simulation. To solve the problem, key animation was applied to the skeleton at the beginning of the chain in the chain-shaped skirt skeleton. This ensures that movement at the top of the skirt is reliably controlled by key animation. We apply physics-based animation to the remaining bones of the skirt, propagating physical movement based on the key animation movement of the top bone. Through this, it has become a form that can satisfy both stability in large motions and movement in small motions. The problem is that you need to separate the skeletons for all skirt-shaped meshes and set key animations for each skeleton for each mesh. To solve this, we used Unreal's retargeting function. Utilize retargeting system. To increase efficiency, add a skirt bone to the basic torso skeleton. Using this, we used Unreal's retargeting system in the process of applying key animation to the top bone of the skirt. Add the skirt's armature to the main torso armature. This integrates the skirt and bodice bones into one frame. Apply key animation to the skirt bone added to the basic torso bone. The animation will control the movement of the top part of the skirt. Using Unreal's retargeting system, skirts of various shapes, long skirts, short skirts, skirts with one side long, skirts with different waistlines, starting points, allows you to correspond to the movements of the basic torso skeleton. Through this, the movement of the upper part of the skirt is moved by the key animation of the skirt bone of the basic torso skeleton, and the remaining parts are moved by the animation key of the skirt bone of the basic body skeleton. Each skirt is moved by a physics simulation of the skeleton connected to the mesh. Using a retargeting system, we efficiently integrate the structure of the existing torso skeleton and the newly added skirt bone. It was effective in combining animations for various parts by flexibly constructing the character's skeleton. So you can see in this image here, retargeting results. Light blue basic skeleton, blue skirt mesh skeleton. Okay, so yeah, the light blue here is like the basic skeleton, and then the dark blue here, the normal blue, is the skirt mesh skeleton. We may not be satisfied with all forms, but we will find the answer. As always, below is a temporary modeling resource for testing that was used in the early R&D process. Key animation, torso skeleton plus upper skirt skeleton, physical animation, skirt lower skeleton, combination result. So here you can see those images. The 4-point skirt was actually a skirt that moved in the air. All of the content introduced above was a process to express the natural movement of the 4-point skirt. Although cloth animation has not been applied to cloth skirts, research is underway to apply it to cloaks and certain types of mesh. In addition, various research is underway to improve the natural motion of clothing using a new engine.